Henry Rodgers from the Daily Caller in Washington, D.C. He's here to talk all things Trump. Also here with none other than the great James Morrow as well. Henry, thanks for joining us. Sorry for some of the technical nonsense backstage. Put simply, look, I'm all in on Trump. I want Trump to win. I hope Trump gets another 4 years. But I think it's really important for people who want Trump to get over the line to understand. I was looking at some Real Clear Politics numbers before. Currently, if the polls are the way they are, it's 269 in the Electoral College. I don't want Republicans and people who are pro-Trump to fall into the same trap that Democrats and Hillary did, that, oh, this bloke's so crazy, nobody would vote for him.
Well, I mean, I think if you've watched the debate last night, you saw Democrats eat each other alive, essentially. I think that, you know, Bernie Sanders, as a socialist, radical, communist person he is, I think that every single Democrat on stage last night made it very clear they do not want that as the future of the Democratic Party. So I think those numbers are a little interesting, looking at those Real Clear Politics numbers. I honestly think Trump is way more, is way higher up in those polls than it might say he is. And that's just based on, we don't know who he's running against yet. But listen, if he's running against Bernie Sanders, the Republicans are going to have a field day with this, about socialism, communism, his remarks about Castro. I mean, you saw the entire stage last night of Democrats beat Bernie Sanders up for his comments about Castro, praising Castro, this dictator, communist. And I think that's going to continue all throughout the next couple months if Bernie Sanders is the candidate, which is looking like he will be.
Henry, James here from Australia. Just want to continue on that point. My concern, though, is that if the Republicans make Bernie Sanders' socialism so big an issue with a younger generation, a couple of generations of younger voters who have not gone through the Cold War, who don't have that experience, and who also just have never been taught that socialism is evil in the way that you and myself and Paul and a lot of people that are watching us tonight think, is that message going to resonate when he's saying, no, you've got this college debt, we'll take care of it, you want free stuff, we've got that. I worry that the Republicans are going to need more than just saying, look, he's a socialist, don't vote for him.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's a good point, and I think that Republicans are obviously going to have to make some different points as to why Bernie Sanders is not an ideal candidate, you know, Medicare for all these things that are going to actually destroy the country. You have no idea how he's going to pay for it. The stock market's going to crash if Bernie Sanders gets elected. These are all things I can see happening. And also, Bernie Sanders, I remember when President Trump was elected, everyone said that he was going to have a awful relationship with world leaders. I could not see Bernie Sanders having a good relationship with a lot of these world leaders. I mean, he went on stage last night and trashed Prime Minister Netanyahu from Israel, and I mean, you know, that's just not a good start here. Okay, so for him to come on stage and start, you know, attacking Trump for having negative relationships with foreign leaders and stuff like that, I think that's interesting. But Bernie Sanders, I couldn't see him. He's not a very friendly guy. You know, I know Bernie Sanders. I've covered Capitol Hill for years. I've been in the Senate for years, and I've interacted with him, and he's not a nice guy.
Yeah, you get that sense when you look at him that, I mean, imagine, you know, you eventually get to President Sanders about how would he conduct himself in the Oval Office, in that essentially he's going to say my way or the highway. I mean, all the stuff that they've complained about with Trump, they'll suddenly forgive. But I want to talk about the media and how the media is trying to skew this as best as they can. I watch sort of the people clutching their pearls on the lefty channel MSNBC, all sort of basically trying to prop up Mike Bloomberg as the hope when he's clearly been, you know, unless you're an employee, would you be that excited by being around this guy? And I know that, you know, the establishment will want to sort of give Biden one last run, all the rest of it here. But what about how the media is going to tilt this? That are they going to try to limit the attacks on Sanders because at one point they're going to have to turn around and back this guy in as being the better devil than Trump?
Yeah, well, I think last night you saw the moderators kind of they were confused as to how to handle these attacks on Bernie, because they, you know, the moderators themselves are Democrats, and they obviously want whoever the candidate is to beat Donald Trump. So, you know, I think the media is completely playing a part in this whole role. They're going to have to, you know, calm down with the attacks on Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has been, you know, under either a shadow ban or full attack by the media, and I understand why that is. But I mean, coming around here, he's the front runner. And he's going to, I mean, South Carolina is right around the corner here, and what happens in South Carolina is really going to play a big part in this entire election. If Joe Biden's numbers tank in South Carolina, it's over for him, and Bernie Sanders will be the candidate. So the media is going to have to figure out how they want to play this. And obviously the media is run by the left here in the United States, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play this with Bernie Sanders as the top runner for the left.
Well, amazingly, two of the moderators have donated to Democratic candidates. I mean, literally, talk about how skewed it is. It's not about, how they self-vote. It's where they put their freaking money. Anyway, Henry, all the best. I want people to go to dailycaller.com and get all of the great straight news each and every day. All the best to you, mate.